Hi, my name is Liana Gabor. I am a student of National College of Ireland, and in this presentation, I will walk you through my project for Data Intensive Scalable System module. The project implements a big data processing pipeline to analyze the global electricity generation capacity and CO2 emissions in the air using data from global power plant database and our world in data dataset. Moving forward for the motivation of this project, I started from the observation that electricity generation is one of the largest contributors to the national CO2 emissions, but countries differ dramatically in how they generate electricity, like coal, gas, hydro, wind, and solar. Most emissions analyzations look at the total or trends over time. What I wanted to test instead is whatever the structure of electricity infrastructure helps explain emissions pattern at a scale. This leads to my research questions, three of them. First, how installed capacity varies by fuel across countries. Second, how emissions and energy use trends relate to that structure over time. And third, whatever countries can be grouped into meaningful categories based on energy mix and emissions. These questions are answered using Spark aggregations, a country year panel, and Apache Spark scalable machine learning library clustering. All right, moving forward to the data sets we used, I used two complementary data sets. I also referred them into the report attached to this submission. The first is the Global Power Plant database from the World Resources Institute. It's a plant level data set with around 30,000 power plants globally, including capacity, fuel type, and location. I use this to compute national installed capacity by fuel category. The second data set is our world in data, CO2, and energy data set, which provides a country year time series on CO2 emissions um, per capita, populations, and energy use. The reason for combining the two data sets is that the global power plant database tells me how electricity systems are built, while our world in data tells me how emissions evolve over time. Joining them helps me study how infrastructure structure relates to the emission intensity over time. One important note, which I want to mention explicitly, is that the Global Power Plant database reports installed capacity and not actual electricity generation. Okay, moving forward to our end-to-end full pipeline architecture. I started by downloading the raw global power plant database and then the our world in data set, storing them as a local CSV file. Then they are converted into the curated Parquet files using Spark. And then which performs all the transformations, cleaning, aggregation, joins, and feature engineering. Then uh, um, so it first goes into the Azure Blob storage as a raw container, and then from there, Spark performs all the transformations. Final outputs are written directly into MySQL via Java Database Connectivity Java API, and then exported as a CSV file. And then moved forward to Power BI. Well, I will show you the visualizations of these tables. The pipeline follows a very straightforward layer design, raw curated process, and it is fully automated through a single command, ensuring reproducibility. Next, we're going to go to the implementation, what I actually built. The ingest script downloads the dataset, reads them with Spark, converts them to Parquet, as I said earlier, uploads them to Azure Blob Storage. Then the processing script reads the created Parquet files, performs aggregation, joins, writes curated tables in the MySQL. The extended analyzation script builds the country year panel, engineers clustering features, and runs the k-means using Spark machine learning libraries. On the right, I listed the Spark operations I used, which are cleaning, non-applicable handling, label harmonization, um, group by aggregations, joins, feature engineering, um, machine learning, library clustering, and all core techniques learned from the module. Okay, moving forward to the next slide. I'll quickly do a live demo. I also attach here some screenshots, but I will run VS Code now. And I just added first CD data, and this just open. And now we are going to activate the virtual environment. And that's activated already. I'm just gonna go run all the commands that I've added. We're gonna check now the Python version installed. I had to install an earlier Python version because the latest 13 one I had didn't work. Okay, we're gonna run now data ingestion plus Spark Parquet creation. And then here now it downloads the data sets, reads the CSV files with Spark, writes Parquet, uploads to Azure Blob Storage, and this alone proves the map reduce style processing. And next, we are going to run Spark processing and do MySQL. Okay, we're just gonna let this finish. It's now connecting to Azure Blob Storage. And just quickly waiting for it. Success. Okay, we're gonna run Spark processing. Spark is reading Parquet transformations, and now we're gonna write to MySQL. Download from Azure completed. Okay, and we're gonna run extended the Spark analyzation clustering, and we're gonna see now the feature engineering, the k-means clustering, and advanced Spark machine learning library usage. And after this, finally, we will export the results in the CSV files, which I have already there, just here on the left-hand side, but we will do it again for the demo of this presentation. And I'm gonna quickly also, so that went all well. I'm gonna also go to Azure very quickly. Okay. And we're gonna go to the raw container, which is here. Okay. And we can see them all here. Okay, going back to our presentation. So we ran the pipeline directly from the terminal, activated the virtual environment, and then we were able to see the raw curated data sets. And now we're gonna go to the results stored in MySQL, which were the ones on the left-hand side I just showed. These ones. And they were transformed then in tables. So they also include the capacity by country and fuel type, the latest CO2 metrics per country, a capacity emissions joint table, a country year in energy panel from 1990 onwards, and clustering features with final cluster assignments. I also highlighted some key observations that China and US dominate total installed capacity. The temporal panel shows long-run divergence with China rising and Germany declining, and structurally countries like Paraguay, Russia, and Sweden showed very different energy system profiles, and clustering separates renewable heavy from fossil heavy systems. And once again, these were the results stored in MySQL. Here are our tables visualized in Power BI. I'm also happy to open Power BI for you. And these are our figures that I have worked in Power BI and renamed them. Okay. And then forward, yeah. So basically in figure one, it shows that the top 10 countries by installed capacity. The figure two compares emissions across the global regions. And I try to use different colors to differentiate them easier for each figure. Figure three shows CO2 emissions trends over time for selected countries. Again, here I used very different colors, highlighting long run divergence. Here you can actually select the specific countries you want to look at when you create this visualization in Power BI. Figure 4 plots installed capacity against emissions, showing that the system size alone doesn't explain emissions outcomes. Figure 5 summarizes average emissions by cluster, and Figure 6 shows a clear negative relationship. This is another plot between renewable share and CO2 per capita. Okay, moving forward, the challenges were quite a few. Spark couldn't read our world in data directly over a HTTPS, so I had to download it locally. Azure wrote initially failed due to missing Hadoop Azure jar, so I wrote locally and uploaded via SDK. MySQL authentication had to be reinitialized, and Spark produced Windows file lock warnings during the cleanup, which I verified were actually non-fatal. The key takeaway is that Spark is well suited for messy multi-source global data sets. And that the energy mix features explain emissions better than simple rankings. Overall, the project demonstrates a fully reproducible big data pipeline and a real-world debugging experience. And I'm going to show you quickly the report. Here you can also access the data sets used. This is the reference paper, and this is where I downloaded from GitHub the first data sets, the power plant based data set. And then that's the next one from our world in data, which is from CO2 and greenhouse gas emissions. And this is the actual place from GitHub where I downloaded the dataset. And this would be the report, including all the images and screenshots of the MySQL scripts, and all the final thoughts into it. And thank you very much for watching this long presentation. And any further questions, don't hesitate to contact. Thank you.